Welcome to Season 3 of the Biz Show, sponsored by Invest Choir. Discover what's next with this insightful podcast. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Good morning. How are you, Barry?
Lisa, I am doing well. Happy Friday.
I know this week flew by. Oh my gosh.
This week
So
has
fast.
flown by. We've been really busy. Business-wise, there's a lot of things going on in business around the world, but also here in the U.S. And, our last couple podcasts, we've been talking about negotiations, right? The art of negotiations and then the objections to negotiations. And today we have a special guest.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into negotiations because it's not just intellect, but it's also derives from a lot of emotion when you're making decisions and having to compromise or gain or lose in the negotiation. And a lot of that ties into the guest that we have today. Her name is Harmony Woodington, and she's
Yes.
a life and business coach. And we'll let you take it from there. Harmony, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to hang out with you guys.
It's fun. It's already been fun, and we're just getting started.
I know.
Yeah, they should have heard the banter before we started recording.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that would need to be edited, right, Barry?
We are a PG show, yes.
But yeah, so nice to have you on the Biz Show. We can't wait to learn more about you, and hopefully, we don't have two coaches kind of coaching Barry through this episode today, but that might happen. I'm just warning all of you.
Aye. Well, Harmony, you are a life coach, a relationship coach, so on and so forth. And we've been talking about negotiations the last couple episodes, right? And there's an art to that negotiation, and there's a psychology to that as well, right? And so I know that you'll speak a little bit about that, but before you get in that, tell us a little bit about your history and what got you to where you are. I know you're slightly different. You're more in personal relationships, but a relationship is a relationship, right? Or no?
Well, it's actually, no, not at all. They're totally different. In fact, if you take your business brain home to your husband or wife, they're not going to like it. You just want to separate that.
It's funny you say that because I do.
Yeah, I actually just recorded a video. It's not on my social yet, so don't go looking for it. You're not going to find it. But it talks about how your wife doesn't want your business brain and how incredibly important decompression time is. So my partner, when he gets home from work, he actually goes and chills in the garage, which is his workshop / man cave. And he's in there for at least an hour before he comes upstairs. And to me, that time is sacred. I do not disturb him at all, ever, when he is in that decompression space. And it's not like he locks the door. I could go in, but I understand how important that routine is. And what's really funny is the garage is in the back of the house, but to come in the house after he's done his decompression time, he walks all the way around the house and comes in the front door. So there's a mental separate for him, to go through that whole process and walk in the front door after that hour of decompression. So I very much do believe that there is clear separation. That being said, talking about my history, it's actually quite interesting because I actually have, over the last 10 years, worked with professionals and entrepreneurs organically. It's what has always, they've always been attracted to me. It's what I've always attracted. And I feel really blessed to have had a decade in that. Of course, it took me a long time to really own it for some weird reason. And then eventually I ended up stepping into the role of executive coach because I realized that was what I attracted. And then just more recently, after helping people with their businesses, toxic direct reports, how to be a proper leader, how to actually work with their employees to get results, not using fear-based, motivation. There's all sorts of skills that we need to learn. And I find it quite interesting too, because in a lot of the blue collar trades, there's no leadership training whatsoever. Corporate, there's a lot of it, but blue collar, nobody teaches that kind of stuff. And it's incredibly important to actually invest outside of your business or the company that has employed you to learn these skills, because the amount of toxic leadership that is happening within that space is incredibly tragic. And I've been blessed to work with a lot of people in that space and have a positive impact What's going on?
Oh, nothing. I was just going to say you and I are so on the same page on that, right? I preach that all the time to my customers. If you're going to promote an employee who's a great employee and you promote them into a management position, that doesn't mean they're going to be a good manager whatsoever at all. You got to give them
Nope.
the training and the resources and the skills to be that manager and maybe possibly a leader somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
And so many businesses don't do that. And then they don't understand why they failed.
Yeah,
One of
there's so
the,
much that goes. I was married. We had our own company, self-employed, construction company, and my husband was just so incredibly hardworking and just so good at his trade. But there was such a lack of like business management. So Barry, that's where you would come in, or that's where Harmony would come in, or I actually did come in and just organize and structure and maintain and lead the business in a direction of growth. And it's just so hard for like a one-man sole proprietor to do it all. And there's also people that lack the skills of being able to do it. Like they actually have to learn the skill to do that. And so some of that is the teaching and coaching. I'm assuming that Harmony that you would do, or you would step in and sort of talk to them about, or help them hire somebody that's able to do that for them.
yeah, I think being able to help business owners specifically understand how their greatest liability is lack of leadership
Mm-hmm.
and what's going on within their culture, because the amount of, toxic relationships and abuse and bullying and different things that happen that cause a person to literally go into burnout because they're living with anxiety 24/7 because they don't want to go to work and get bullied and get treated like a secondary citizen again
Yeah.
is tragic. And
To
that
really,
could be avoided by setting up leadership training, no matter what your vocation is, no matter what your business is. It would change the face of your business if you were
yeah.
able to actually train people and retain your employees.
Yeah, there's so many toxic work environments. That's a very, very good point that we haven't really dove into, Barry and I. But we do talk a lot about on our podcast culture, office culture and building a good team, and a lot of the components that go into that. So yeah, that is definitely a need. I think in some of our pre-conversations before this podcast today, Harmony, you were speaking about the corporate world and the men and the egos that may be involved in their
Egos, wait, what?
titles and things like that. And so that was an area that you were like struggling getting results from. Candidly, we can talk about that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally respect that. I found myself in a room one time with a bunch of 50-year-olds, and there was one particular one that was definitely having a pissing contest. He was trying to upset everybody. It was like his goal to get people, to get so triggered that they would leave the room. And I remember him specifically trying to do it with me. But if you're going to play mind games with a hypnotherapist, you're going to lose. Just going to warn you. You know what I mean? And he didn't
Right.
realize who he was dealing with. And so he kept trying to play the games. And I know how to play those. So I'm like, okay, all right, what do you do? And he's like, oh, well, I'm really big into real estate, but like commercial, like really big, huge buildings and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's so overwhelming. What's it like dealing with millions of dollars? Like, those are huge decisions. I can't even imagine. Like, I would never. And he's like, yeah, right. It's such a big deal. Like, there's so many people involved and it's such a big deal. And I'm like, I know, like the responsibility you carry. I could never do that. Dude, all I did was puff up his ego.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he turned around and he was like, I can't be mean to you anymore. I like you too much. I can't do this.
Fed him what he wanted to hear. Like you got in there and opened him up, and that's exactly where his safe spot was knowing he's the
Well,
greatest.
that's exactly it, because ego in all reality is just exposing that a person is lacking confidence and they haven't really figured out where their confidence needs to lie and really rooted that within. So when you're dealing with a person like that, that's got that insecurity, you just figure out where their soft spot is and you give them love. It's pretty simple.
You
And
know,
if
my
you give them
mom,
love and validate them, all of a sudden you've made a friend. It's called influencing, not manipulation. Let's be clear. This is a
right?
win-win situation.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
mom said that I remember as a young kid, my mom said it's always better to get what you want with sugar and honey instead of piss and vinegar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I prefer sugar and honey. Just
Yep.
saying.
Yep.
Exactly. right? I mean, we need to soften people on the whole, as a whole in the world today, especially. So if you could really like, I have a lady friend of mine, a girlfriend that says, meet people where they are. You know,
Mm.
step into where they are, what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and then you can maybe open them up, like Harmony just explained, which is great. You can align with them, and that's where negotiation could happen if we're going to go back and tie this into business, right?
Right. So it was really interesting when Barry brought that topic to me because automatically I, had a thought about how we feel about ourselves, self-love, self-worth.
Right.
And this I realized very quickly as I started my own practice that it was at the core, at the root of what enabled people to step up and do anything that I brought to the table. Because they're coming to me and they're paying to expand, to be better, to be a better leader, to be whatever it is that they want to be. And yet some people wouldn't invest in the tools that I was providing them. They wouldn't bring it into the real world. They would spend the time with me in session and then nothing in their real world would change. And I was asking myself, what is that puzzle piece? Because I want results for everybody that I work with, or it doesn't feel fulfilling to me.
Did
Correct.
they not know how to flip that switch from one to the other, or how to transition that in?
That's the logic brain right there. Thank you, Barry. I really appreciate that because men very much function in logic, and they're like, you just flick a switch, right? It's just as simple as that.
Well,
and yet
not necessarily flick the switch, but understand what's the process. Here we are, we have this conversation, but now how do I apply that? And so flick the switch, yeah, but there's more than just, okay, now it's working. There's a process you have to go through, right?
I think
yes,
the uncomfortableness, right? Being very uncomfortable for them to do that. So they shy away from it.
Well, it's interesting what Barry just said because men are very much based in logic. They're taught to be based in logic. They're not allowed to be based in motion, or you check what's in their pants, or you take their man card, right? Yeah. So for a man, it is about applying. He's like, why are you doing this to me? For a man, it's about employing systems and processes and logic. And yet logic actually betrays you a lot because that's the conscious mind and that's the 5%.
Yeah.
The house always wins, which is the 95%, which is the subconscious mind. So you can employ talking about negotiation. Let's be clear. When you are going into negotiations and you've got all of this logic, it is for not. Nothing. If your subconscious mind is not wired for success, all of the systems and processes mean nothing. So you can go to a strategist and they will give you everything that you need to go in and rock it. But if you feel like you are not worthy to be in the room, that is going to scream significantly louder and you are going to struggle, potentially even freeze, depending on what your flight or fight response is in the negotiation.
Yeah, we talked about this before and you're spot on that, right? You gotta, and when we talked about this, we also talked about the imposter syndrome and all that stuff. So if you don't feel worthy or you don't feel like you belong in that room, you've already failed, right?
Right.
There's a lot of people who...
Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, it comes across on such a subconscious level and it's an energy that is picked up on. And then those that, are stronger suited for the negotiation are definitely going to win and take advantage of that in that very moment. There's a lot of unspoken language going on and body language, everything ties into that.
Right. And when you don't have the self-worth or self-love rooted, you are going to potentially self-sabotage because you're afraid of the success.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're not going to go there and create it because you're afraid of the responsibility. Now everybody's looking to you and you're responsible for stuff and you're not ready for that. You're not even okay with being responsible for yourself.
Don't buy a dog, right? No dogs, no pets.
I mean, when you're like really at the level of your company reaching a plateau and you're like, how do I break through this plateau? And I've been there myself. And I know it all ties back to me. I know that there's something that is a fear inside of myself of what you just hit on, being responsible, having to, acquire more responsibilities and learn different things and having to, expand basically yourself and your life and change your whole routine around just to be able to achieve that next level of business is a scary place. You're like, how do I get there? Do I know how? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? All of those fear factors come into play. And then what do? We just stay stagnant. We do not change. We do not grow. So you need somebody that a coach like Harmony or myself that is able to push you and help you open up those keys that you do have, those tools that we all have, the gifts that God gave us, to use them to push us to move forward, to become uncomfortable, to
Wait, you
fail
got gifts?
forward.
I didn't get any gifts. I missed something.
Well, the maker gives those to you when you're born. We all have them.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
it's like unleashing them. And that is what a coach does. We help you unleash them.
You know, I met a guy the other day. Right, who wanted to start a business. And I asked him, I says, well, what experience do you have? He's like, none. I've never worked. I've never started a business before. I don't even know where to go. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm like, well, you need a lot of education prior to that. And what I mean by education is the fact that you need to learn how to start a business, be a leader, how to hire people and stuff like that. And he didn't have any gifts whatsoever at all, right? As you're speaking. So we'll see. Perhaps this guy's going to turn into be a client, but he wanted us to kind of look for a business for him. But I told him, well, first you got to figure out, he didn't even know what he wanted.
There is a lot of exploration needed there for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I heard Oprah once say that people could be successful at anything they truly enjoy partaking in as a child. And I remember like rearranging my room constantly, my bedroom, just my furniture, the things, on my furniture, all the pieces and accessories. And I loved redecorating my room. And it really comes into play because, now I stage houses and I'm really into architecture and I just love what I do. And I'm, very successful at it. And so I really feel like that one statement that Oprah Winfrey said that I heard as a young girl just really impacted me. So I bring it up a lot because people like that gentleman that you just met, really you got to dive into the person and just, open them up, like, because they're like a treasure chest full of gifts. And that's where that man is. He doesn't know what his gifts are.
What was it? Forrest Gump, Mama said, you never know what you're going to get in a box of chocolate, or it's like life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get when you open it up.
Yeah. Yes, this is true.
So
yeah.
The thing that's fascinating about the person that you're talking about, Barry, is that we innately know what we want to do. Our soul has a blueprint. There's a thing that our heart's been asking us to do, but the problem is they don't step up and do it because what does the education system teach us to do? Do what we're told, right? So what is he doing? He's coming to somebody who's an expert that he knows that he can trust, and he's expecting you to tell him what to do because he doesn't trust his own heart. He doesn't trust his own mind. And it's not that he doesn't have gifts. He has plenty of gifts. He lacks knowledge and wisdom to run a business, but he's got plenty of gifts. He's got to develop a relationship of self-trust and listen to his own opinion and his own heart, and then put that in the hands of a guide who will teach him the systems and process to succeed in that. And only that will give him a mindset that will allow him to exit this planet at the end of the day and feel fulfilled. Because if he just does whatever you tell him to do, he's still going to be left with regrets.
It's funny that you say that. I've never really given that any thought.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. For that gentleman. Well, you're right. A lot of people, we've gone through school and stuff like that. And so we've always been taught to do things and been told to do things. And so that's probably where it is. And the thing is, the guy's in his 60s. So he's still going through life. I mean, I'm in my 60s, right?
Oh my gosh, that makes me so sad. Like I would love to get my hands on him and just spend time, diving into like exploring. Who are you? What makes you
it's so natural that this happens because a lot of people get to that stage of life and they realize that they haven't actually left a mark on this earth at all. And the desire to create a legacy at that age is everything.
It's funny that you say that, right? I've retired 3 times. And here I am again because I don't feel like I've accomplished
failure
to do. No, it's not failure.
You failed at retirement, Barry.
Well, I did fail at retirement because I'm not done doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
right.
You love learning.
Right.
Exactly. The
So,
first thing I ask somebody that I hire, I say, what are your strengths? What is the best thing about you that you could tell me in one word? Like, what are three things that you love about yourself? I always ask my new members of my team that, and they're like, oh, wow. And
what
they,
are you looking for?
what's that?
I said, and what's the answer that you're looking
Oh,
for?
Oh, I'm looking for them to identify with the self-love that Harmony mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, because I
Oh,
want them
okay.
to put that foot forward in everything that they do in real estate and in, business sales. I want them to tap into their strengths and know who they are so they could be successful when they're selling and talking to people. And then
Interesting.
they really feel like empowered, and they really kind of click, with what their purpose is. And then they do, then they are, excited about it.
Now I know why when I'm always joking about myself, you jump on me. You're like, stop it.
I'm like, don't, no, you're a wonderful man. You're so brilliant and smart. And that's how I talk to people about you when you're not
I
in
try
this.
I try to
I'm
play
felt,
dumb.
I'm very lucky to have you on in business, as a co-founder. I'm very honored to tap into your brilliance. You're teaching me daily, and you're teaching everyone on this podcast so many business aspects that help people.
Lisa, I'm learning just as much from you as you're learning from me, okay? I mean, I honestly, you've taught me a lot, right? I mean, I'm not good at sales, and you've kind of really pulled me out of that. Now it seems like I'm in sales all the time,
Yeah.
especially in investor relations and stuff like that, and working. So, you know, it's a give and take thing. It's not all, yeah, I have a lot of knowledge. I'm an old guy. I've done a lot of things. I love sharing what I did. I have my post-secondary teaching credentials, so I taught too, right? I love teaching and coaching and mentoring people.
Yes, that's your passion. Yeah. And so we're so lucky to be able to do that today on this podcast and bring in other brilliant people like Harmony, and just like really tap into the way people are thinking and how they operate and what value they provide to business professionals and also in life. And I don't know if you want to expand on that, Harmony. Like, what's your favorite client that you are working with currently, or that you have worked with?
I wanted to just take a minute and just honor the emotional moment that was just had, because when somebody feels valued, that is everything, because
Yeah.
everyone wants to be seen and valued. Now, think about how that plays in negotiations, right? It's not about you going, I am great for all of these reasons. Nobody wants to listen to somebody who is like, talking all about how amazing they are, right?
Right.
Right.
In
It
fact,
should never be about
it
you. It should be
repels
about them.
people,
Right.
right? So in a negotiation, if you help the other person shine and you make them feel valued, then you're going to walk out with a much better result than if you're walking into the room going, I need to make it clear to them how special I am. So be clear on your agenda when you're walking into the room, and focus on the other people and validating and helping them shine, as opposed to it being about you shining.
You know,
Right.
right, exactly. One of the things, and I mentioned this prior to in a couple episodes back in the negotiation, you need to find out everything you can about the people that are sitting across the table from you, right?
Right.
You
Right.
find out prior to the meeting or the negotiation who they are, what they've done, what's their history, and so that you can kind of build this little psyche of who they are, and then you can. I'm not saying use that as a the target or anything like that, but now you got a better understanding of who you're dealing with, and as you said, Harmony, then you can focus on them instead of
Right.
yourself, because it's not
Right.
about you. Yeah, you're at the table because they know you have the skills to get whatever the task is that needs to be done.
Yeah.
They're just trying to figure out, do they want to work with you? And
Right. And
if
you said you don't want to be divisive. Like I heard you saying you don't want to guide people to use. But the thing is a lot of people don't understand the difference between manipulation and influencing. And I was raised by a powerful manipulator. So I'm very clear on the difference, because I didn't want to be like her. Manipulation is I win, you lose. I do whatever I have to do to get what I want. And at the end of the day, you feel like you lost something. Influencing is I win and you win. As long as you are influencing in all of your actions, everyone you interact with will be happy to deal with you again when you call them.
Yeah.
yes, you don't want to burn those bridges for sure, right? And I and Lisa and I both work off the same philosophy that a lot of our customers become our friends. And that's because of the relationship that we build is that of, trust, and we can get this done, and we do get this done, but also the give back on their side too, back to us. And then it just becomes a friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm already starting to feel, Harmony, you're becoming a friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We're talking about clients, because you were asking me who is my favorite client that I'm working with right now. It's funny because that's not what comes to mind. I actually had a client that was in Saskatchewan, and he's a heavy machinery mechanic, and he was basically forced into a leadership role because everyone above him retired, and he kind of just like had no choice. And he was used to working in the field, just doing what he was told. And then all of a sudden he was forced into this leadership role and not feeling ready for it. And so he reached out to me for coaching to learn how to step into that leadership role. And at the time he was terrified. He's like, I don't know how to manage people. I don't want to deal with people. And so I taught him how to lead with love in the oil fields. Now, I don't know if you guys know how profound that is.
That is
it's
pretty cool.
insane.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah.
But you could make that happen. I love this story so much.
Well, he never said to any of them, I love you, bro. That never happened.
Okay. Good.
But the thing that's really amazing is understanding how to step into a space to make a person feel like they're heard, they're validated, they have a mentor they can look up to. What they say is actively listened to and heard. And so all of that really matters, because there is a very toxic environment where these people don't listen to each other. They're not heard. They're not properly taught or trained or mentored. And so all of this stuff, when a leader shows up and actually properly leads and holds space, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I need to hook into this person. So he was able to develop a healthy team, unlike anything the company had ever seen. And then he was handed the ability to be able to see the company grow with him building protocols and influencing the growth of the company as a result of me being in his back pocket, helping him lead with love.
Right. That is so impactful. I love that.
One of the things that I've taught in my classes too is I've not called it lead with love, but the compassion and the caring. And in a past company I worked for, I think we had a previous conversation about that. I had an employee who was in a motorcycle accident and in the hospital for a month. And, I went to the hospital immediately. I dropped everything, canceled all my meetings, and boom, I'm over there. And I brought flowers for his wife. And, we sat down together and talked about things. I said, look, you don't worry about a thing. He's still going to get paid. He's going to do all this stuff. We are not changing anything. We just need to get him better.
Yeah, what a beautiful, humane moment that
and those are the things I think we're missing today in society. A lot of these businesses, it's all about numbers. And it's a terrible thing. It needs to be about the people.
I agree. And it's beautiful that you guys have the mission to, create more awareness about that, because I'm incredibly passionate about building loving leaders. And it's not about saying I love you, but leading with the energy of love and validating the people that you are leading and listening to their dreams and helping them accomplish that as they help the company accomplish their dreams. That's a win-win. It's called influencing.
Right.
Cool.
And when you do have that, you are able to attract, like you talked about, attracting the clients and attracting the people in your life that are similarly aligned. And it makes it so much easier, because then you don't have to do a lot of training, because you're already operating alike with your team. And that's, just such a beautiful thing. And just to watch it unfold like that, which is, happening in my life currently. And I just cannot say enough gratitude to the individuals that I have on my team, and just how similar we all are. It makes it symbiotic, and it just makes working together so easy. And then we're able to achieve success together, which is a beautiful thing. But yeah, Harmony, it's just been such a delight to have you and all the insight you provided us all today with regards to relationships and the trust and the self-love that comes into play, whether you're a business executive or you're in a relationship with a spouse or partner.
It's definitely enlightening. It's actually opened my eyes on a couple things, but that's a different podcast. Well, listen,
we're gonna
guys.
put you on the hot seat next time, Barry.
Oh no, I don't know if I could do another podcast with the two of you. I feel like
you don't want to do this all the time.
Actually, I do. I love it. This has been great, and it's fun.
Aw, that's
But it's time to wrap up. So we'll get this one wrapped up this time. And Harmony, we would love to have you come back and have some other topics, to discuss
sure.
that
Yeah.
fit in somewhere down the road.
Anytime.
Right? It would
Perfect.
be great to do a little role playing with the actual individual that's, looking for your services and maybe providing some of that modeling on a podcast once we go live and we're actually on video.
Yeah,
Sure.
and we'll get all your contact info and stuff in the comments and in all the descriptions with the podcast as well, so people can reach out to you as well.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing from anyone who wants my support.
And they will be great to have it, I'm sure. Well, that wraps it up for us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Biz Show. Lisa and myself, appreciate you very much. Lisa, where can they find us?
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and you can find us on all platforms, the Biz Show, B-I-Z. We also have a website called investquire.com, and we are on Facebook. You can find us.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you again, Harmony. Lisa, we'll see you later.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Biz Show podcast. Subscribe to stay updated and follow Barry and Lisa on Facebook at The Biz Show. Share your comments or suggest specific business topics you'd like to hear. Bye!